Hello, Elizabeth. Hi, T.
Hello.
Glad to be here with you all. My name is Diamond, and I'll talk a little bit about how I know T shortly, but just wanted to ahead of time share, I'm a clinical social worker. I'm also a macro social worker. I do a lot of work at the intersection of health, justice, anti-racism, racial equity.
Awesome. My name's Elizabeth, and I'm a registered drama therapist. And I'll go into a bit of more how I know T or Tway, and how this came to be. So we met at the Lancaster State Prison when I was starting out my teaching artist work there and my drama therapy internship work. And he was a newbie to theater. He didn't want to do theater. He was very resistant and nervous. And then he made this awesome, transformation in terms of his acting and stage presence and sense of self on stage, through the pushing of his friends and the teaching artists. And that's how I got to know him, is through him taking on this whole new adventure of theater and acting. And then a couple of years later, he had transferred yards. He was on a yard that he earned in a clean prison record, and just being an outstanding, person overall. And he was able to get on what's called the A yard, the honor yard. And we met again. And I started to see more of his journey, more of his story. So that's why we're here today, is to hear T's story, his journey from childhood to incarceration to being in the free world and starting a business, starting a nonprofit, and hearing about his tenacity. And so without further ado, I would like to ask you a couple questions, T. First, I would love to hear about your change from being a child in Vietnam, being entrenched in your own culture, to moving to California, and then some of the challenges that you had that led to incarceration. So giving us those highlights of the points of moving from Vietnam to California, and then the challenges that led to incarceration.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Diamond, and thank you, Elizabeth. So I was 13 when I moved from Vietnam to the US. I remember at the time, my mom, right before I leave Vietnam, my mom became a nun, and she pretty much dedicated her life to Buddhism, which was devastating me, because I haven't get used to how she become a nun. Next thing you know, came home, and one day she just wearing the costume dress as a nun, and shave her head bald. And so I didn't know how to deal with it at the moment. I just know that I was devastated. And then when I moved over here with my little brother, through the sponsorship from my father escaped Vietnam when I was 4 years old, during the war, after the war, I mean. And I pretty much don't know much about my father. So when I came here, I lived with my father and his family. And I feel very strange. And then I went to the school. I started in middle school, in Steinbeck Middle School. And I remember shortly I moved to high school after that, and I didn't know anything about this culture, the language over here. And I was so difficult to learn and how to adjust with the culture, and I experienced the culture shocks. And I was feeling so lonely and stressed, and also miss home, my old country, because every time when I move to the new places, I have to take some time to really adjust to it. And so when I going up to high school, I developing a lot of difficulties such as bully and have a hard time to go to school and taking the test or study. And so I end up didn't like school much, and I started to hang out with the wrong crowd. And I joined the gang when I was 16 years old. And after that, the fight broke out after school, and it led to the incident that one of my friends stabbed a guy and he died. And so I was there at the wrong time and wrong place, but because of my involvement in the gang and my participation at the time, I end up receiving a very long sentence, which is 25 years in state prison. And that is how my wrong path started. I came into the prison system. First, I went to juvenile hall, and then after that, I went to county jail and then prison system at a very young age. Like I was 19 when I hit 180 level 4, which is the maximum security, Salinas Valley State Prison. And I didn't know how to adjust to this new environment, very harsh environment. And I was so scared, but at the time I tried to seal it by being tough and try to fit in with group, and which is the wrong choice I made. And then slowly the stress and depressed again more and more. I start to use drugs, try to get away from the reality and the environment at the time.
Right before this crime happened and you were incarcerated, there's a key point to your story about your citizenship status in the country, because this affected you later on. So just give me a little bit on, where you were at in terms of becoming a citizen in this country before you were incarcerated, because this happens to quite a few people in their youth, where they're incarcerated, but their status is kind of up in the air. And then what happens to them once they're out can be very difficult. Can you just share with me about that?
Yeah, sure. So my father became citizen when I was 14. At the time, he didn't know much about the law. He thought that he became citizen, and me and my little brother would become a citizen after shortly without doing anything. But according to the law, that we have to become a permanent resident before we can be able to be transformed into citizen status. And so because of that reason, I was under the INS hold, ICE hold, Immigration Custom Enforcement, and which is under deportation. If I ever get released from prison, I would get deported out of this country.
So not only were you facing this very long sentence, but you knew once you were out that your future was very uncertain, right?
Yeah. Yes. At first, I didn't care much because I got a long sentence. I pretty much like, I don't even know what's gonna happen next in 25 years in prison. I'm not so sure about what's gonna happen on my next chapter. So the immigration thing is pretty much not in my head at the moment, until later on when I get a little bit closer and I become very clear that I'm gonna get released. Then that's when I can start to worry about try to stay here in the U.S. and didn't want to leave the country because most of my family are over here in the U.S.
Yeah. You were sharing about, being incarcerated and getting in, just doing whatever you could to get by. And the culture inside to get by is often doing similar activity as you were when what got you inside, which is being involved in the gang culture or the life of drugs, things like this, to stay kind of in survival mode. But then can you tell us about the switch, whether, you know, was it a big switch that you made, an epiphany you had while inside? Was it a slow change? But what led you to wanting to use your time there in a different way?
When you say the switch is something that is very interesting, because I believe that during the time I did the total of 3 SUE term, the one with the weapon charge, and then the drug case, and then after that is another weapon charge, which is the 2 weapon charge. It was falsely accused by the guards in there. So I remember when I was in the SUE for indeterminate SUE, they give me the indeterminate SUE, which is I have no date to get out of the SUE because of my all the stuff that I was arrested for. And so I was in the SUE, in Tehachapi SUE, up on the mountain, very cold place. Most of the time on the winter time, it's like snow, very high and heavy. And so I was very lonely and stressed. I was facing another case, which is 3-strike law. I could face a life sentence and would never get out. And I remember I didn't want to leave no more because I don't want to dealing with like the prison environment. I don't have anything. My family was at the time, they was ignoring me. They didn't want to get anything to do with me because of my trouble path I went through. And so I feel like I lost everything, and then I was facing a very heavy crime. And so I was thinking about I'm gonna end my life. And I couldn't be able to sleep or eat for like a week. I was bleeding inside pretty bad. And I was thinking about I'm gonna suicide, and that's it. I don't want to live no more. I just, that's it. And I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. I was scared, afraid of die, and also stressed and depressed and afraid to live. It's just a painful feeling that I can't get free every night, every day when I try to take a nap or go sleep. I got a nightmare, and it takes a toll on my body, and it suffers so much constantly every moment, and so I couldn't deal with it no more. And next thing you know, somehow, some way, they sent me a cellie. At the time, I was living by myself for a long time in the SUE, and then they sent me a cellie. He came in and he saw me. I was in a very bad state, and he saw and he tried to comfort me. He tried to ask me to seek help from the doctor or somebody. Just go out there and just get some kind of medication or get some kind of therapy or whatever it takes. Try to talk to somebody. And luckily, because of that reason, it's given me more time to seek for help. And then I seek help from psychiatrists and psychology, and I start taking medication, which has helped my body healing slowly. And then I go into different sessions to talk to them about my depression, the suicide that I was facing. And so which has helped a lot. And slowly I get out of that sickness. And then after that, I just gonna focus on how to do better, and because I realized I need to change. If I don't change, I'm gonna end up die in prison and never get out.
Wow, thank you. Can you share about, as you got closer to getting out, anything that, as you think back, stands out to you? You advocated for yourself a lot, and you have to do a lot to be able to get to that point. So a bit about getting to the point where it's like, there's this possibility for me to get out, and the steps you took to, get there for yourself, the people around you that maybe cheered you on. And then after that, we'll talk about what happened once you got out.
Can you repeat it one more time, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I think more simply, you shared about, what gave you hope and how, you had to get to the lowest part of yourself. You were at the point where you weren't sure your life was worth it. And then you got help and you started to see that you needed to change or you would die in there. So then after that, as you got closer to a release date or the possibility of that, share with us how you achieved that. Because, I know that you have to work very hard, even if you're close to release date, for people to say, yes, you are, found suitable for release. So I would love to share about, just to highlight and congratulate you and honor the things that you did that got you there.
Yeah, sure. And so this process is not something that is can take a shortcut. It can be just overnight and it's gonna be good. It's just take a long process from being healing, seek help and get better from my mental, my state and my body. I start to being seek help from other people, which is the people on the yard that can be really good people that can get some support and some kind of guidance. And the more I've been around people doing positive things, which is going to class, study about self-help, and then taking education was the next step that I was involved with. And so first I learned about self-help, which is bring a lot of awareness about my path and help me discover about what I have done wrong in my previous life, which is the street life. And so and after that I pretty much learn more about how to do better, how to get knowledge from education, going to college, and give me hope, sometimes something to looking forward to for the future. And which is something that it's not easy because I have a hard time to do when I was on the street. But in that environment, it's more like a key to overcome, because I, from the stage of being hopelessness and misery, which is I almost kill myself, and then go into the better state, which is like looking for something to do better. And so my motivation at the time is very high, and I become working very hard. It took years from being a learner. Next thing you know, I become a mentor for guys in there and help them to succeed either through self-help class or business class or even education. And at first it was very difficult, but then slowly I become achieve again all the achievement I get, and then I become more confident within myself and within the culture that I'm surrounded with, and that's how it helped me do better and transform my life.
And when did you get out of prison? How long did you serve?
I served a total of 18 years in juvenile hall to state prison. And after that, I was released from state prison. And then the moment I got released, the ICE was waiting outside at the gate. I didn't even get to the gate, the release gate yet. And then they picked me up, put me into a train and shackled me and handcuffed me and put me in the car, pretty much sent me to the immigration. And from there, I stayed in the immigration for like 7 months. And which is something that I can never forget. It's just like the day that I feel so happy. Next thing you know, they just took away everything from me.
So one moment I want to talk about, and there's so much else, but just for the sake of our time, is when I had the privilege of being briefly in the courtroom with you on a couple of occasions. And I heard this judge say that she's never given the ruling that she gave you. And also you represented yourself. And so that was a monumentous moment for you, and to witness that was really impactful for me. Can you share about, there's a lot leading up to this, but that moment that, she gave you this ruling, and then what that ruling was?
Yes, so I remember she was very tough judge. Everybody told me that most likely I'm not gonna get anything out from her. Her name is Tara Naslow. I still remember her name. And I remember when my first hearing with her, she wasn't nice to me. She very tough, like how everybody say. She didn't even look at me when she talked. And so I have to stood up for what I believe, which is I wanted to stay here. At the moment, I know that I have nothing left. I'm on my way out of the country. There's nothing that's for me to really do anything. And so I didn't want to get at my family and spend all the money. And so you know what, I just gonna represent myself and become an attorney and try to do my best to give myself a second chance to stay here. If not, then I have no other choice, but I have to get back to my old country. And I stood up and I make a very long speech about my life. I think somehow, somewhere she felt it, and she, for some reason, it just changed and give her some type of compassion. And so she allowed me to represent myself, and she told me, give me some advice to prepare for my hearing and ask some support to come to my courtroom, stuff like that. And which is I come back to the cell and visualize how I can prepare for this whole hearing and how I can be in court and present myself in the way that can help me with my case. So I got so lucky that I have some toolkit from one of the attorney before I got released. He sent it to me, and I've been studying on it day and night. And I knew some of the terms I can be able to use during my court hearing. And which is I used that and I try to apply it. And then also with you and JD, Mr. JD Hill, came, it gave me a lot of hope. And then my family came after that. And I feel, I don't want to say that I'm very confident that she's gonna give it to me. I'm not sure at the moment, but I have the feeling that for somehow I think I'm gonna get out of this mess for some reason, which is happened. And she told me, okay, I give you a second chance, T. I believe in you, and I believe that you can be able to go out to the community and help our community. And I don't know what can happen, so it's up to the government that they can reverse your case, or they can appeal your case, or it's up to them. So I just gonna do my part here, and I granted you for the adjustment status, which is the green card. And after that, you're gonna be on your own. And so that's how it's happened. And so since then, when I got released, I still dealing with some of the legal process. Still, it's not over yet. It's not finalized, but I'm working on it. And I also been pretty much actively involved with the community.
Wow. Thank you so much, T, for that share. Such a powerful share. And just thinking about folks who are listening and what might be coming up for them emotionally, right, within their body, as they heard that, and just inviting folks to sit with that and honor what you might be feeling, because I know I'm feeling a lot. It's gratitude first for you sharing in this way, but also just inspired. And I really do feel openness within myself as I heard you share. There were times where I felt a little tight and heavy, particularly in my shoulders, but I definitely feel openness. And so I look forward to the next part of this conversation, our part 2, where we kind of talk about where you are now, how we met through the Reentry Health Advisory Collaborative, some of the amazing work that you continue to do on behalf of yourself, but also on behalf of the community. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also just wondering, as we close out, like, how do you feel after you just, shared your experiences to date?
So after sharing all the stuff that I in my past, is bring back a lot of memories, bring back a lot of old emotion, which is still there, which is good because I feel before I probably feel very difficult to share, but nowadays I can be able to share, express myself freely, which means that I have overcome so many things, and now I'm not afraid of sharing about all the stuff that I've been through with very sensitive subject that I have to. It took me years to really able to share and let the world know about what I've been through, which is good. I feel relief. I feel, I don't want to say relaxed, but more like relief and transformation.
Yeah, the healing work. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you. And T, I learned a lot, especially about just the darker times for you in this conversation, and also just getting to also see your face while you shared it showed me just how dark it did get for you, but also reminded me of in each of our lives, whatever that looks like for us. And for you, it was very extreme and very difficult, but it can lead to increased motivation and hope once we're able to slowly climb our way out of it. And so I think that's a really important thing that you shared with us today. And just want to let you know you've been a huge part of my life and story as well. So thank you.